This is somewhat related study to one of the slides that I presented in the first presentation. Fast frequency support from wind power plants or wind turbines. So the intention here, this is the study done by one of my student who has recently graduated and could not come to present his study. So we are trying to see if we can address the issue from the source of the issue. So issue here is we have diminishing inertia in the system due to more and more wind integration. Can we try to support the system with fast frequency from wind turbines? But a bit difference here is we are trying to use this service for primarily fault events, voltage events, rather than direct frequency events. So this is, as I mentioned in one of the first presentation slide, that the fault can lead to the frequency event in wind integrated system. So can we try to get the support from other wind turbines which are less affected during the fault to support the grid while maintaining their connection to the grid? So I'll just skip the introduction. I think this partly I discussed. I'll not go much into the details of the modeling. There is a session in the afternoon, wind system modeling. So those who are interested more into the modeling, that session is dedicated in the modeling. So we can talk about this. Is the model that we adopted is IEC 61400-271 model. The pioneer of this IEC model, Paul Sorensen is sitting here. He will be giving presentation in that session as well. So these are, I think, so we try to have two control loops in the wind power plant or wind turbine here, where we can have both droop response as well as the inertial response. So droop response is primarily meant here for fast frequency. So wherever we have headroom in the wind turbine, we can actually use that to support the grid. For example, in some cases, if we have a curtailed wind, we can use that to support the frequency to the grid. Yeah, this is a bit more in internal details of the model. I think it's not very relevant to discuss it in detail. So this is one of the first case study that we did. Is we took this benchmark system, IEEE 14 bus system, and integrated 3 wind farms here. Of the capacity 50, 100 and 100 megawatt. So the penetration level was roughly 75% in terms of generation. So what we tried in this case, the first very base case, we didn't have the inertial or droop capability or in the wind turbines. So if you see the active power following the fault is going down in one of the wind farm, and as a result, due to that temporary shortfall in the generation, it is resulting into the frequency event in the system. And the system is recovering because of the headroom of the conventional power plants, as well as it is a temporary shortfall. So the generation is eventually coming back to its a nominal value, and the synchronous machines are actually having sufficient headroom to cope up with this and recover back to the nominal frequency. Then in the next case, what we did is we activated only inertial response from the wind turbines, and the droop response was not activated. So there was no this additional frequency support from this, except the inertial support from wind turbines and wind farms. So the penetration level was again 75%. So what we saw is the nadir was improved in the system compared to the previous base case where we didn't have inertial response. So as expected, the nadir was improved by having this inertial response from the grid, from the wind turbines. In the third case, what we did is we activated both inertial response as well as droop response, or you can say here a kind of primary response, but the wind turbines wind farm was operated at curtailed at sub actually with some headroom, basically with some curtailed power. So so the wind turbines actually participated not only in terms of inertia, as well as they participated in terms of the normal frequency, primary frequency reserve. And as you see here, the curve at the this gray curve is much better than the others. The nadir point is much better than the other two cases, as well as the recovery is faster in this case. So then we tried to move to the a bit larger system, IEEE 39 bus system. So we connected 7 wind farms of the capacity shown here, 800, 600 megawatt capacity, and the connection partners are shown here. So it is roughly around 6,200 megawatt load, and while connecting these 7 wind farms, of course, we didn't dispatch some of the conventional power plants. So these are the results at the 60% wind penetration level. If you see here, the black one is without any control, inertial or the droop control, while as the next one is with only inertial control, and this one is with both droop and inertial control. So the point to note here is, as I was mentioning, with the inertial control only, the nadir point is improving. So under frequency load shedding is unlikely if we have a sufficient inertia here in the first nadir point. But if you see, there is a delay in the recovery of the frequency in case of this inertial response only. The reason, as I mentioned in the previous presentation, was that the following the event, the wind turbines try to catch up with the speed. As a result, there is net decrease in the power production of the wind turbines, and there is a delay in the recovery of the frequency. That is also very important. The recovery of the frequency, or in other words, the quality of the frequency, is also important. In this case, where we have both droop response as well as the inertial response, the recovery is much better than the other two cases. Then we try to see the impact of the higher penetration is more or less similar trend, and this delay is further increasing in this case, and you can see the output of the wind farms in the 3 cases where we have some additional power in case of only inertial response, as well as in case of both inertial and reserve response. So these are then number of studies we did try to capture in this plot. So we have different penetration levels and try to see here how the nadir is going to. So as a general trend, the nadir point is going for the same outage. The nadir point is going to increase as we go for higher penetration of wind, and the trend is again the similar with only inertial control. We have better nadir, but we have more actually recovery time, frequency recovery time. While as with both the droop and inertial control, we have better nadir as well as the better frequency recovery. This recovery is relatively faster than this. Yeah, so that was about the fast frequency response that we can have from wind turbines. Only inertial response is going to lead to the delayed frequency recovery following a frequency event in the system, and this was more about the voltage induced frequency event in the wind integrated system. The recovery of droop, as I mentioned it, and inertial in droop and inertial response was better than the other 2 cases, base case and only the inertial case. Thank you. I think I compensated the time.